She was the quiet girl everyone ignored until the day the bullies crossed the line. One slap in front of 200 students unleashed a chain of events no one saw coming. What happened next didn't just shock the entire school, it changed her life forever. Stick till the end, and don't forget to subscribe for more life-changing real stories that'll keep your heart racing. The morning sunlight sliced through the classroom blinds as 16-year-old Emily Carter sat silently in the second row, trying to disappear into her notebook while the laughter around her grew louder and louder, not with joy but with cruelty. For years, Emily had been the quiet one, the girl who kept her head down, wore thrifted clothes, and carried secondhand books, the one who teachers forgot to call on and classmates forgot to invite. But what nobody knew was that Emily was far from weak. She was just waiting, observing, and holding everything inside like a storm gathering behind calm skies. That day began like any other, until the bullies decided to make her their target again. It started with whispers about her mother cleaning houses, her father's absence, and her shabby backpack with a broken zipper. Then came the taunting, the laughter, the cruel jokes. But when Jessica Miller, the self-proclaimed queen of the school, slapped Emily in front of 200 students in the assembly hall, everything changed. The sound echoed, the laughter erupted, and the world seemed to freeze around her. Emily's cheek burned, not just from the slap but from humiliation so deep it cracked something inside her that could never be mended the same way again. She didn't cry, she didn't scream, she just stared straight ahead, her eyes meeting Jessica's with a calm so chilling it silenced the laughter for just a moment. "You'll regret this," Emily whispered, her voice low and steady. Everyone thought she was bluffing. But they were wrong. The very next day, Emily stopped showing up to school. Rumors spread that she'd transferred, that her mom pulled her out because of the bullying, that she couldn't handle it. But Emily was still there, quietly plotting something no one would see coming. She began documenting everything. Screenshots of the bullies, messages, photos of the vandalized locker, audio clips of their taunts, even the slap itself caught faintly on a student's live stream. She spent nights teaching herself video editing, creating a short film that told her story, not as a victim, but as a fighter. 2 weeks later, the school announced the annual, anti-bullying assembly, ironically organized by Jessica and her clique to boost their college resumes. That's when Emily made her move. Without anyone knowing, she uploaded her edited video, titled, "The Truth Behind the Slap," to the school's official channel, scheduling it to play during the assembly. When the projector flickered on, instead of the principal's speech, the video began. It started softly, Emily's voice narrating, "They say silence is strength, but silence can also be a weapon." Then came the footage, the insults, the slap, the laughter, the tears. The entire auditorium fell silent. Jessica's smile froze as the audience gasped, watching every cruel act unfold on the giant screen. Teachers looked horrified, students started whispering, and then came the twist. The second half of the video showed Emily volunteering at the children's hospital, tutoring underprivileged kids, and visiting her late father's grave, with the words, "Strength isn't in hurting others. It's in surviving what they can't understand." When the lights came back on, the principal stood speechless. Jessica tried to deny it, but the evidence was undeniable. The school launched an investigation, and within days, the bullies were suspended, stripped of their leadership titles, and publicly apologized. But Emily's story didn't end there. The video went viral beyond the school, spreading to social media, gaining millions of views, and drawing attention from national news outlets. People called her the silent fighter. Her calm courage inspired students across the country to stand up against bullying in their own ways. Yet what truly shocked everyone was how Emily responded to her newfound fame. She refused interviews, she declined sponsorships, and instead, she used the attention to start a foundation for victims of bullying, called Project Phoenix, symbolizing how broken souls can rise from the ashes. But life wasn't all perfect afterward. Jessica, humiliated and ostracized, transferred schools and posted a tearful apology online. It didn't erase what she did, but it marked the start of her redemption. Years later, at their graduation, Emily, now valedictorian, stood on stage, the same spot where she was once humiliated, and delivered a speech that made everyone rise to their feet. "Pain is not a weakness," she said. "It's proof that you survived. And sometimes, your silence can be louder than their screams." The crowd erupted in applause, and even Jessica, sitting at the back, clapped with tears in her eyes. After graduation, Emily received a scholarship to Harvard, where she majored in psychology to help children suffering from trauma and bullying. But one fateful day, 5 years later, as she was invited to speak at a national conference, she noticed a familiar face waiting backstage, Jessica. Dressed modestly, holding a volunteer badge. "You changed my life," Jessica said softly. "I joined your foundation last year." Emily smiled, the kind that carried both forgiveness and strength. "Then I guess we both changed," she replied. Their handshake symbolized something bigger than revenge, it was redemption. The story spread again, and people saw it as proof that even the deepest wounds could lead to healing if faced with courage and compassion. What no one knew, though, was that Emily had faced darker days after that slap, nights of self-doubt, therapy sessions, and moments where she almost gave up. But she never did, because every time she looked at the scar that slap left on her soul, she remembered that it was not a mark of weakness but a reminder of her power. She went on to write a book titled The Day the Laughter Stopped, which became a bestseller, turning into a documentary that won international awards. And during the film premiere, as she stood before a crowd of cameras and flashing lights, she was asked what message she wanted the world to take from her story. Her answer silenced the room. "You can break my heart, you can bruise my face, but you can never silence my purpose." From that day on, her name became a symbol of resilience. Schools began using her story in anti-bullying programs, parents told their children about her bravery, and thousands of victims found the courage to speak up. But perhaps the most beautiful twist came a decade later, when Emily returned to her old high school, now completely renovated, and found a mural painted on the auditorium wall, a phoenix rising from flames with her quote beneath it. The principal, now retired, greeted her with tears in his eyes. "You turned pain into power," he said. Emily smiled, touching the wall gently. "No," she whispered, "I just refused to let pain be the ending." As she walked out into the sunlight, the same courtyard where she once stood humiliated now filled with laughter, not of cruelty but of kindness. A new generation of students looked up to her as a legend, unaware that the girl who once stood there broken had built an unbreakable legacy. And somewhere in that quiet afternoon breeze, she could almost hear the echoes of her younger self whispering, "You did it." So, if you've ever been underestimated, laughed at, or made to feel small, remember Emily's story, because sometimes, the slap meant to break you becomes the spark that builds your fire. Subscribe for more inspiring, heart-stirring real-life stories, because every quiet soul has a moment that changes everything.